Welcome to Remnant 101 at the City on a Hill Church. I'm Associate Pastor Benji Lele. God's remnant knows why the sacred assembly is sacred. This isn't exactly what I'm talking about, but I do want to briefly read from the book of Joel, chapter 1, verses 14 and 15, which says, "Consecrate a fast, call a sacred assembly, gather the elders and all the inhabitants of the land into the house of the Lord your God, and cry out to the Lord. Alas, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as destruction from the Almighty." And from that, I want you to remember that when we gather for the sacred assembly this Sunday, we are going to cry out to the Lord, like it says in verse 14. And where verse 15 says, the day of the Lord will come as destruction from the Almighty, remember that whenever my dad says that destruction is coming. But like I said, our sacred assembly is this Sunday at 3 p.m. We're going to gather together, we're going to cry out to God, and we're going to affirm our spiritual identity as the remnant. And that right there is where the sacred comes into play. Who we are in our covenant as the remnant, as the people on the exclusive ark of salvation, as my dad says, is something to always be held sacred. We take communion every Sunday morning to start off each service, and we always refer to that with the word sacred. The definition of the word sacred reads, connected with God or dedicated to a religious purpose and so deserving veneration or respect and reverence. This means that our calling as the remnant, the ark we've been blessed to be a part of, the body and blood of our Savior has to be revered over anything else. And how we hold those things sacred is a part of our spiritual identity, as I mentioned earlier. And we're going to affirm that at the assembly, which is why we call it sacred. And as I read, the definition of sacred includes having a connection with God. That's the top definition. But another definition that I read speaks to what we see from people today, and even Christians. It says, regarded with great respect and reverence by a particular religion, group, or individual. That means that any individuals can hold anything sacred to them by giving it a place of reverence in their hearts or putting it at the highest priority and regard in their lives. What you hold in the highest priority speaks to what your heart holds as sacred. When you say something like, I have to be at every single one of my kids' ball games, that is like making a personal covenant. And those ball games are now something that you hold sacred. It can get to the point where you are okay with skipping out on the house of God for Sunday travel ball games and convincing yourself that God understands or he knows your heart. In that case, your heart just held a ball game more sacred than God's house. I'm not just talking about ball games. It could be vacations, work, family, me time, or whatever. And I'm not just talking about missing church. I'm talking about anything that gets in the way from you living a lifestyle that's holy and separate daily. Regardless of the scriptures you quote or the songs that you sing, are you separating yourself daily so that every action you take in public or private has the primary goal of exalting God? Because if you do that, that's when God can see your heart holding your covenant with him as truly sacred. And we're going to affirm that this Sunday at 3 p.m. Prepare yourself for it every moment of every day. God bless you.